Hello, I am recording the video and today's topic is ASP.NET Lifecycle. ASP.NET Lifecycle specify how ASP.NET processes pages to produce dynamic output. The application and its pages are initiated and processed. ASP.NET compiles the pages dynamically. The ASP.NET lifecycle could be divided into two groups: application lifecycle, page lifecycle. ASP.NET application lifecycle. The application lifecycle has the following stages. User makes a request for accessing application resources. A browser sends this request to the web server. A unified pipeline receives the first request and the following events take place. An object of the class application manager is created. An object of the class hosting environment is created to provide information regarding the resources. Top level items in the application are compiled. Response objects are created. The application objects such as HTTP context, HTTP request and HTTP response are created and initialized. An instance of the HTTP application object is created and assigned to the request. The request is processed by the HTTP application class. Different events are raised by this class for processing the request. ASP.NET page lifecycle. When a page is requested, it is loaded into the server memory, processed and sent to the browser. Then it is unloaded from the memory. At each of these steps, method and events are available which could be overridden according to the need of the application. In other words, you can write your own code to override the default code. The page class creates a hierarchical tree of all controls on the page. All the components on the page except the directives are part of this control tree. You can see the control tree by adding trace equal to true to the page directive. We will cover page directives and tracing under directives and event handling. The page lifecycle phases are initialization, instantiation of the control on the page, restoration and maintenance of the state, execution of the event handler codes, page rendering. Understanding the page cycle helps in writing codes for making some specific thing happen at any stage of the page life cycle. It also helps in writing custom controls and initializing them at the right time, populate their properties with view state data and run control behavior code. Following are the different stages of an ASP.NET page. Page request. When ASP.NET gets a page request, it decided whether to pass and compile the page or there would be a cached version of the page. Accordingly, the response is sent. Starting of page lifecycle. At this stage, the request and response objects are set. If the request is an old request or postback, the isPostback property of the page is set to true. The UI culture property of the page is also set. Page initialization. At this stage, the controls on the page are assigned unique ID by setting the unique ID property and thems are applied. For a new request, postback data is loaded and the control properties are restored to the view state values. Page load. At this stage, control properties are set using the view state and control state values. Validation. Validate method of the validation control is called, and on its successful execution, the isValid property of the page is set to true. Postback event handling. If the request is a postback, the related event handler is invoked. Page rendering. At this stage, view state for the page and all controls are saved. The page calls the render method for each control, and the output of rendering is written to the output stream class of the response property of page. Unload. The rendered page is sent to the client, and page properties such as response and request are unloaded and all cleanup done. ASP.NET Page Lifecycle Events. At each stage of the page lifecycle, the page raises some events which could be coded. An event handler is basically a function or subroutine bound to the event using declarative attributes such as onClick or handle. Following are the page lifecycle events. Pre-init. Pre-init is the first event in a page lifecycle. It checks the isPostback property and determine whether the page is a postback. It sets them and master pages, create dynamic controls, and get and set profile property values. Init. Init event initialize the control property and the control tree is built. This event can be handled by overloading the onInit method or creating a page underscore init handler. Init complete. Init complete events allows tracking of view state. All the controls turn on view state tracking. Load view state. Load view state event allows loading view state information into the controls. Load post data. During the phase, the content of all the input fields are defined within the form tag are processed. Preload. Preload occurs before the postback data is loaded in the controls. This event can be handled by overloading the onPreload method or creating a page preload handler. Load. The load event is raised for the page first and then recursively for all child controls. The controls in the control tree are created. This event can be handled by overloading the onLoad method or creating a page load handler. Load complete. The loading process is completed, control event handler are run, and page validation take place. This event can be handled by overloading the onLoad complete method or creating a page load complete handler. Pre-render. The pre-render event occurs just before the output is rendered. By handling this event, pages and controls can be performed any updates before the output is rendered. Pre-render complete. As the pre-render event is recursively fired for all child controls, these events ensure the completion of the pre-rendering phase. Save state complete. State of the control on the page is saved. Personalized control state and view state information is saved. The HTML markup is generated. This stage can be handled by overriding the render method of or creating a page render handler. Unload. The unload phase is the last phase of the page lifecycle. It raises the unload event for all controls recursively and lastly for the page itself. Final cleanup is done and all resources and references such as database connection are freed. This event can be handled by modifying the unload method or creating a page unload handler. Thank you.